Hello. Welcome to Reality Stories, where stories do come to life. Please subscribe and share with friends. Now relax and enjoy the story. The hot afternoon sun beat down on the tall black gates of the Cole mansion. The garden sparkled from a fresh sprinkle of water, and the scent of hibiscus danced in the air. Inside the massive compound, everything screamed luxury. Marble floors, gold-plated doors, and cars that looked like they had never touched a speck of dust. A sleek black Mercedes-Benz slowly pulled up at the gate. The guard on duty, dressed in a simple navy uniform, walked up to it. He wasn't just any guard. His name was Ryan Grant, the new gatekeeper recently hired by the Cole family. Open the gate. The driver ordered from behind dark glasses. Ryan didn't speak. He simply nodded, pressed a remote, and watched as the grand gates opened slowly. From the back seat stepped out Isabella Cole, tall, elegant, and glowing like the sun. Her hair was curled to perfection, and her designer shades covered most of her face. But even with the glasses, her attitude was loud. As soon as she saw Ryan, her nose wrinkled. "And who the hell are you?" she asked, dragging her pink suitcase behind her. "I'm the new gatekeeper, Ma." Ryan replied calmly, his deep voice firm but polite. "Gatekeeper?" she scoffed. "Don't they teach you how to greet in this house? You just stand there like a statue." "I greeted you, Ma," he said again, unfazed. Isabella gave him a quick once-over. "Ugh, just open the door," she muttered and walked past him. Ryan didn't move. He simply watched her go, her heels clicking confidently on the granite floor, her perfume leaving a trail of class and arrogance. From the balcony upstairs, Mirabelle Cole, Isabella's cousin, watched silently. "She's back," she whispered to herself. "And things are about to get interesting." Later that evening, Isabella sat in her grand bedroom, scrolling through Instagram. The Wi-Fi was acting up again. She rolled her eyes and tossed the phone on her bed. Just then her father, Charles Cole, walked in, tall, stern, with gray hair and the confidence of a man who had crushed 100 competitors in the business world. "Welcome back, Bella," he said. "Thanks, Dad," she replied flatly. He sat across from her. "I have good news. Noah Blake's family is in town. We'll be having dinner with them this weekend." Isabella sat up. "Dad, not this again. He's a good man, wealthy, influential, from a clean family. I don't love him." Charles laughed. "Love? This is not a fairy tale. This is legacy. You're my only daughter. You will marry wisely." Isabella stood, clearly angry. "Why do you always make decisions for me? I just came back from London. Can I at least breathe? Your mother would have wanted this." Charles said coldly and walked out. Isabella sighed heavily and dropped back onto the bed. Downstairs, Ryan watched from a distance as the lights in her room flickered. He leaned on the gatepost, his face unreadable. But behind those calm eyes, a fire was slowly beginning to burn. The next morning was quieter than usual. Isabella sat on the kitchen stool, sipping orange juice and scrolling through her phone again. Her maid, Gloria, stood beside her, wiping the counters. "I can't believe this man wants to sell me off like a loaf of bread," Isabella complained. Gloria nodded. "Your dad is powerful, yes. But sometimes powerful people forget that even gold can feel trapped." Isabella smiled for the first time in days. "That's deep, Gloria. Where did you hear that?" I watched it in a Nigerian movie," Gloria said proudly. Isabella laughed. "Maybe I need to watch that movie too." Just then, she heard the gates open. She looked out the window and saw Ryan walking out, carrying a small brown envelope. "There goes the statue," she muttered. Gloria turned to look. "That's Ryan. He's different." "Different how?" Isabella asked, raising an eyebrow. "He doesn't gossip, doesn't beg, doesn't even smile too much. Just works, eats, and sends money to someone every week." "Someone?" Isabella leaned in. "Who?" "I think it's his mother. I heard he goes to a slum near Ojalegba." Isabella frowned. "A gatekeeper with secrets? Interesting." Later that day, Ryan arrived at a small, rusty building tucked deep in the slums. The smell of smoke, sweat, and street food filled the air. Children ran barefoot through puddles of muddy water. He climbed a narrow staircase and entered a dark room. On the bed lay an old woman, weak, coughing, but smiling the moment she saw him. "My son," she whispered. "I brought your medicine, Mama," he said softly, kneeling beside her. She touched his face. "You look tired." "I'm okay," Ryan lied. "How are you feeling?" "Better, now that you're here." He handed her the envelope. "I'll come again next week. Be strong." Before he left, he looked out the window, deep in thought. "Mama," he said suddenly, "what if I told you that one day I'll make him pay?" She grabbed his hand. "Don't let hate swallow you, Ryan. Promise me." He smiled, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "I'll try." Back at the mansion, preparations were being made for a grand party. Balloons, lights, and gold carpets were everywhere. Charles Cole had arranged a special evening to woo Isabella with Noah Blake, the man he wanted her to marry. Noah arrived in a shiny red Ferrari, wearing a gold chain and a smug grin. "Isabella," he said, taking her hand and kissing it. "Still as beautiful as ever." "Still as arrogant, too," she mumbled. "What was that?" "Nothing," she said with a fake smile. The party was filled with top politicians, celebrities, and billionaires. Charles introduced Isabella and Noah to everyone like they were already a couple. But Isabella wasn't happy. She stepped outside to get some air and found herself near the back gate. There, standing quietly as always, was Ryan. She walked up to him. "Do you always stand here doing nothing?" she asked, half mocking. Ryan looked at her. "It's part of the job, Ma. You never talk, never laugh, never look scared. What's your deal?" Ryan met her eyes. "What if silence is safer than speech?" She stared at him. For a moment, she forgot she was a billionaire's daughter. He wasn't scared of her. He wasn't impressed by her. He was just honest. "What's your name again?" she asked, softer now. "Ryan. Ryan Grant." You don't look like a Ryan," she said, then quickly added. "But thanks for not calling me Ma every 5 seconds." He gave the tiniest smile. "Noted." Their eyes locked for a moment. But before anything else could be said, Mirabelle's voice interrupted them. "Isabella, come inside. Dad's looking for you." Isabella turned quickly and walked away. Mirabelle stared at Ryan suspiciously. She whispered to herself, "Something is off about that guy. I need to find out what." That night, as the party came to a slow end, Charles was furious. Isabella had refused to dance with Noah. She barely smiled at him. The guests noticed. Inside her room, she threw her heels across the floor. "I'm not a trophy," she shouted to no one. Gloria entered quietly. "Are you okay?" "No, I'm not okay. My life feels like a movie where I didn't get to read the script." Gloria sat beside her. "Then maybe it's time you start writing your own script." Isabella looked at her with teary eyes. "I don't even know how." From outside, Ryan stood near the gate again, quiet, alert, and listening. The wind blew gently across the compound. A storm was coming, not from the sky, but from secrets buried deep beneath the Cole mansion. And Ryan was the one holding the match. The sun was just beginning to rise when Isabella stormed out of the house, fuming. She had argued with her father again about Noah. It was becoming a daily routine, arguments, threats, and slammed doors. She walked to the garage, trying to distract herself. Her Mercedes wouldn't start. She rolled her eyes and opened the bonnet, staring helplessly at the engine. "Of course. Just great," she muttered. She tried starting the car again. Nothing. From a distance, Ryan watched. He was standing by the side of the gate, holding a wrench, having just finished repairing a faulty lock. He walked toward her quietly. "Engine's not turning?" he asked calmly. Isabella looked up, surprised. "What? Now you fix cars too?" He shrugged. "I grew up fixing everything." She stepped aside. "Be my guest, Mr. Fix-It." Ryan leaned in, hands moving confidently over the wires and battery. "You drive this a lot?" he asked while checking the terminals. "Not really. Mostly when I want to escape this golden prison," Isabella replied, arms crossed. Ryan nodded. "You don't like being rich?" She sighed. "It's not the money. It's the control. Everyone thinks I should smile and obey because I live in a mansion." He smiled slightly. Even cages made of gold are still cages. Her eyes widened. That's exactly what Gloria said. She's a wise woman. For a moment, they shared a quiet look. It wasn't just a random stare. It was one of those looks that said, I see you. Ryan stepped back. Try it now. Isabella entered the car, turned the key. The engine roared to life. She smiled. Not bad, Gateman. He smiled back. You're welcome, mansion girl. She raised a brow. Did you just joke with me? Maybe. She laughed. Miracles do happen. From behind a large window upstairs, Mirabelle watched the scene like a hawk. She narrowed her eyes. There's something going on there, she whispered. Later that day, Mirabelle went to security office and bribed one of the guards to pull Ryan's file. She studied it carefully. Ryan Grant, she read aloud. No known relatives. Background check, clean. No university record. Hired from an agency. She typed his name into her laptop and searched. Nothing much came up until she added the phrase Grant family Legos. Suddenly, an old article popped up. Businessman Samuel Grant jailed in massive fraud case involving Coal Empire. Mirabelle sat up straight. Samuel Grant, that's Ryan's father? She clicked the article. Apparently, Charles Cole had sued his former business partner Samuel Grant, claiming he stole millions. Samuel was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Interesting, Mirabelle whispered. So the son of a disgraced man is working as our gatekeeper and now getting close to Isabella? A wicked smile crossed her face. This just got delicious. Days passed, and something subtle began to bloom between Isabella and Ryan. She started walking near the gate more often, sometimes to check on things, other times just to talk. They spoke about music, cars, books, and dreams. Ryan was always calm, quiet, but when he spoke, his words carried weight. You read poetry? Isabella asked one evening as they sat near the flower garden. Sometimes, Ryan replied. It helps me make sense of things I can't say out loud. She was impressed. No man she had met, especially the rich ones, ever talked like that. What's your favorite line? She asked. He looked up at the evening sky. Even the stars envied the light in her eyes. Isabella felt her heart pause for a second. Did you write that? She whispered. Maybe, he replied with a smirk. Wow, she said softly, staring at him. Ryan, you're different. You say that like it's a bad thing. No, it's refreshing, she said, smiling. The garden was quiet except for the sound of leaves rustling in the wind. The air between them was thick with unspoken words. Isabella took a slow step closer. You know what scares me? She asked. What? I'm starting to forget I'm the billionaire's daughter when I'm with you. Ryan looked at her deeply. And I forget I'm just a gatekeeper. A long pause. Then their lips met. It was soft, warm, and full of tension that had been building for days. A stolen moment under the garden lights. They pulled away slowly, eyes still locked. I'm sorry, Isabella whispered, almost breathless. I'm not, Ryan replied. But just behind the wall, Mirabelle was recording. Her phone camera caught everything. She smirked. Oh, Daddy Cole is going to love this. Later that night, Mirabelle burst into Charles's study. Uncle Charles, she said dramatically, you need to see this. He was busy going through documents. What is it this time? She showed him the video. The moment Charles saw his daughter kissing a gatekeeper, he slammed the table. What nonsense is this? Mirabelle nodded. I told you, that boy is sneaky. Charles's eyes flamed with anger. He wants to bring shame to my name? After all I built. He has no respect for class or boundaries. I'll deal with him, Charles growled. The next morning, Isabella stepped outside, looking for Ryan, but he wasn't at the gate. He wasn't anywhere. She asked Gloria, Where's Ryan? I think he's gone, Gloria said nervously. Gone. Isabella rushed to the back compound. There, she saw Ryan packing a small bag into a taxi. Ryan, she shouted, running toward him. Where are you going? He turned around slowly. My job is over. What? Why? He looked down. Your father knows. You're just going to leave? After everything? I shouldn't have let it happen. So that kiss meant nothing to you? He looked at her, his eyes filled with pain. It meant too much. That's the problem. Then stay, she whispered. He shook his head. You're a billionaire's daughter, Isabella. I'm just a ghost from your father's past. What are you talking about? He didn't answer. Instead, he entered the taxi and left, leaving her standing alone under the same tree where they first kissed. Tears welled in her eyes. For the first time in her life, Isabella didn't feel rich. She felt abandoned. The air was thick with questions in Isabella's mind. Ryan had vanished from the mansion without a proper goodbye, and no one knew where he went. But Isabella wasn't ready to let go. One evening, after speaking quietly with one of the junior staff, she discovered something. A note Ryan had once scribbled on a delivery slip. It had an address in Agigunal. Without thinking twice, Isabella put on a hoodie, sunglasses, and snuck out in her small Toyota, something less flashy than her usual Benz. She didn't want attention. The streets of Agigunal were tight, noisy, and full of life. Children played barefoot in the dust, music echoed from small speakers, and the smell of street food filled the air. Isabella stepped out, her heels instantly sinking into mud. What am I even doing? She whispered, looking around. She followed the address and stopped in front of a rundown one-bedroom shack. She hesitated, then walked closer. The door was half open. She peeked inside. And there he was, Ryan, sitting beside an old mattress where a frail-looking woman lay. Her eyes were closed. He was wiping her forehead with a wet cloth, humming softly. Mom, just hold on, he said gently. Your medicine is coming. Isabella's heart clenched. She stepped back quietly, but a loose stone rolled under her foot. Ryan turned sharply. Who's there? Their eyes met. Isabella, he said, shocked. She froze. I followed you, she stammered. I needed to know why you left. Ryan stood up slowly, his face filled with both surprise and embarrassment. You shouldn't be here. Why didn't you tell me? She asked, stepping in. He sighed. Because this isn't your world. She looked around the small room. One fan spun lazily in the corner. A plastic bucket was filled with boiled water. The walls were peeling. She's your mother? Isabella asked. Ryan nodded. Her name's Margaret. She has kidney failure. Dialysis twice a week. It's expensive. Isabella swallowed. And you were using your gatekeeper's salary to pay for all this? Ryan looked down. I was doing what I could. Why didn't you ask for help? He shook his head. From your father? After what he did to mine. Isabella frowned. What do you mean? Ryan looked at her long and hard. Then he sat down. My father, Samuel Grant, was once your father's partner. They started the Cole Grant Corporation together until your dad accused him of fraud and sent him to prison. Wait, what? He took everything. We lost our home, our name, our life. My dad died in prison 3 years ago. Isabella gasped. I didn't know. Of course you didn't, Ryan said quietly. People like your father bury the truth under money and media. There was a long silence. Isabella looked at him again, this time with new eyes. You're not a gatekeeper, she whispered. You're the son of a man my father destroyed. Ryan stood up. And now you know. She stepped closer. You've been taking care of your sick mother, dealing with your past, and still found time to fix my car and quote poetry. A small smile crept onto his lips. Life's full of contradictions. I don't care about the past, she said softly. I care about you. Ryan turned to her, surprised. I mean it, she added. I came all the way here because I couldn't stop thinking about you. Their eyes locked again. The room was silent except for the gentle breathing of his mother and the humming fan. Then stay, he said quietly. And she did. For the next hour, she sat beside him. They fed Margaret soup together, cleaned the room, and even laughed at some old photos Ryan showed her from his childhood. That night, Isabella realized something. She wasn't falling for a poor gatekeeper. She was falling for the strongest man she had ever met. But happiness in secret can't stay hidden forever. The next morning, Mirabelle burst into Charles Cole's office again. This time, she had something explosive. She dropped her phone on his desk. "Play the video, Uncle." Charles looked up, annoyed. "What now, Mirabelle?" She folded her arms. Smug. "Trust me, you want to see this." Charles pressed play. It was the video from the garden, the kiss. Charles froze. His jaw tightened. His hand slowly curled into a fist. Is this Ryan?" he barked. Mirabelle nodded. "The gatekeeper, kissing your daughter." Charles shot up from his seat. "Where is she?" Isabella was just returning from Adjugunal when she walked through the mansion gate and saw her father standing with 3 guards. His eyes were red with fury. "Where have you been?" he shouted. Isabella blinked. "Out." "Don't lie to me, Isabella." She stepped back. "You think I don't know?" Charles hissed, grabbing her phone and throwing it on the floor. "You're sneaking around with that bastard son? What are you talking about?" "Ryan Grant," he roared. "His father ruined me." "You ruined him, Dad," she fired back. Charles slapped her. The sound echoed through the compound like thunder. Gloria ran out in shock. "Sir, please." "Lock her in her room." Charles commanded the guards. "And bring that boy to me." At the same time, 2 men were already on their way to Adjugunal. They stormed into the small room. Ryan jumped to his feet. "What's this?" he asked. "You've been summoned," one of the men said, grabbing his shirt. "My mother's sick." "We don't care." They dragged him out, kicking and shouting. Back at the mansion, Ryan stood before Charles, face bruised. "You dare come into my house, kiss my daughter, and lie to us all?" "I never lied," Ryan said calmly, blood at the side of his lip. Charles walked closer. "I should have finished your father when I had the chance." "And yet, you still lost your soul," Ryan replied. Charles's hand twitched, but he turned away. "You're fired. You're blacklisted. Leave the city if you value your life." Ryan was thrown out like garbage. From her room, Isabella watched everything through the window, tears running down her cheeks. She screamed, hitting the door. "Let me out. You can't do this." But no one answered. Later that night, Charles sat with Noah in the living room. "I need you now more than ever," Charles said. Noah smiled confidently. "I told you she needed guidance. I'll take care of her. I'm counting on you. Fix this mess." Noah leaned back. "I'll marry her, Uncle. Don't worry." Upstairs, Isabella lay on her bed, curled like a child. Ryan was gone. Her heart was shattered, and her cage had never felt more real. It was a quiet evening in the mansion. The storm from Ryan's dismissal had settled, but Isabella hadn't left her room for 2 days. Gloria stood at the doorway, holding a tray of food. "Isabella," she called softly, "please eat something." "I'm not hungry," Isabella mumbled, curled on her bed. Gloria placed the tray down and sat beside her. "You love him, don't you?" she asked. Isabella nodded slowly. "More than I've ever loved anyone." Gloria sighed deeply. "Then, you need to know the truth." Isabella sat up. "What truth?" Gloria hesitated. Her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and guilt. "Ryan is not just a gatekeeper. He never was." Isabella's heart pounded. "I know that already. He's a good man." "No," Gloria cut in gently. "He's the son of your father's former business partner, Samuel Grant." Isabella froze. Gloria continued. "Your father and Samuel started Cole Grant Holdings together. Years ago, they built the company from scratch. But one day, Charles accused Samuel of fraud, without proof. He sent your lawyers. He destroyed that man. Samuel was jailed. His name was ruined. And he died in prison." Tears welled up in Isabella's eyes. "Oh my God!" "Ryan watched it all as a young boy," Gloria said. "He lost everything, his home, his father, even his mother's health. When he came to this mansion, it wasn't just a work. He came for revenge," Isabella whispered, stunned. Gloria nodded. "Yes, that's what I believe. He wanted to destroy your father from the inside. But he never told me. Because something happened along the way. He fell in love with you, Isabella. You weren't part of the plan. Isabella's mind was spinning. The memories began replaying. The quiet strength in Ryan's eyes, the way he looked at her, the kiss in the garden, the pain in his voice when he said, "Your father ruined my life. He came here to hurt us and I fell for him," she said shakily. "No," Gloria said gently, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You both fell for the truth in each other. That kind of love is rare." Isabella wiped her tears. "Where is he now?" "No one knows," Gloria replied. "But something tells me he's not finished." Isabella stood up slowly. Her voice, once soft and broken, now held fire. "Then neither am I." It was a sunny morning in Lagos, but inside the Cole mansion, dark clouds were gathering. Charles Cole was seated at the breakfast table, reading the financial report. Noah sat beside him, sipping coffee. "There's a strange drop in our stocks," Charles muttered. "Something's off." Just then, a loud knock came at the front door. Before anyone could answer, the doors burst open. Ryan Grant walked in. But this time, he wasn't in a gatekeeper's uniform. He wore a sharp black suit, a silver watch, and leather shoes that clicked on the marble floor. Behind him were 2 lawyers, a cameraman, and 4 reporters with flashing microphones. Charles stood up, stunned. "What is the meaning of this?" he barked. Isabella rushed into the room from the hallway. Her breath caught at the sight of Ryan, strong, calm, and confident. Ryan looked at Charles with a cold smile. "Hello, Mr. Cole," he said. "You remember me?" Charles growled. "Get out of my house." "I don't think you understand," Ryan replied coolly. "This house technically belongs to me now." Gasps filled the room. "What are you talking about?" Charles shouted. Ryan turned to the cameras and reporters. "Let me explain." He faced Charles again. "For the past 5 years, I've been quietly investing. Cryptocurrency, tech startups, global shares. I turned my pain into power." One of the lawyers opened a folder and handed documents to Charles. "I used that money to buy back the old shares once owned by my late father, Samuel Grant. The shares you illegally seized through lies and forged documents." Charles's face turned pale. "Impossible," he murmured. "Surprise," Ryan said. "And guess what? Those shares now give me 45% ownership of Cole Empire." The reporters went wild, flash after flash. Noah looked stunned. "This can't be legal." "Oh, it's legal," Ryan said sharply. "Every step, every transfer, every paper trail." Charles stumbled back. "You planned this?" "Yes," Ryan said, stepping forward. "You ruined my father. You destroyed my family. And now, I've come to finish what he started, to reclaim what's mine." "But you lied to us," Charles yelled. "You came into my house under false identity." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Says the man who lied under oath to send his partner to prison?" There was silence. "I didn't come here to hurt your daughter," Ryan added softly, looking at Isabella. "That wasn't the plan. But she changed me." Isabella's eyes filled with tears. Charles turned to her. "Don't listen to him. He's a traitor." "No," Isabella said, stepping beside Ryan. "You are." Charles stared at her in disbelief. "You locked me away. You hit me. You tried to force me to marry Noah," she said. "But Ryan never did anything except show me the truth." The media buzzed louder. Charles lost control. "I will sue you. I will bury you in court." "Go ahead," Ryan said calmly. "But first, explain to the world why your company's co-founder died in prison under false charges." Charles froze. Ryan stepped closer, now barely inches from his face. "You lost, Mr. Cole. Not just your company, but your daughter's respect." Then he turned to Isabella. "Come with me." Without hesitation, she took his hand. As they walked out of the mansion, the cameras followed, flashing wildly. Reporters shouted, "Ryan Grant, how does it feel to take back your father's legacy?" "Isabella Cole, do you still love him despite the secrets?" "Is this the end of Charles Cole?" Outside, under the clear blue sky, Ryan opened the door of a black Range Rover for Isabella. Before stepping in, she looked at him. "You really did all this?" "I did it for justice," he said. "But you You were the reason I didn't lose my soul." She smiled. He smiled back. As the car drove off, the coal empire began to crumble behind them. And for the first time, Ryan wasn't running from his past. He was driving straight into his future. Later that evening, Isabella found Ryan standing alone on the rooftop of Coal Empire. The city lights flickered behind him, but he looked lost. "You lied to me," she said softly. He turned around, eyes heavy with emotion. "I know. You came here to destroy my father. You used a fake name. You became a gatekeeper just to get close." Ryan looked away. "Tell me, Ryan," she said, voice trembling. "Was I part of the plan?" He stepped closer, pain written on his face. "I came here with hate in my heart," he began. "I wanted to see your father lose everything. I wanted revenge for what he did to my family. I was angry, bitter, cold. And me," she whispered. "You were the problem," he said, "because you made me feel again. You were never supposed to happen. But every time you smiled at me, every time you defended me, I started forgetting why I came." She blinked back tears. "So it wasn't fake?" He shook his head. "Loving you ruined my plan, but it healed my heart." Silence. Ryan stepped closer. "I didn't know I was allowed to be happy. I didn't think I could love someone whose name used to make me burn inside. But you, Isabella, you changed everything." She looked at him, tried to breathe through the storm in her chest. "I was angry too," she said. "Angry that you lied. Angry that I trusted you. But when I look into your eyes, I don't see a liar. I see a man who's been broken and still chose to love." Ryan reached out, gently holding her hand. "I still love you," he said, "even if you hate me now." She smiled through her tears. "Then prove it." He blinked. "How?" She stepped closer, pressing her forehead against his. "Don't let this end with revenge. Let it end with love." And in that moment, for the first time in years, Ryan Grant didn't feel like a man chasing shadows. He felt free. The boardroom was packed. Cameras flashed. Reporters whispered. Charles Cole walked in, surrounded by legal advisors and shareholders. The tension was thick. At the head of the table stood Ryan Grant. He wore a navy blue suit, eyes steady and voice clear. "As you all know," he began, "there have been allegations against Mr. Charles Cole about illegal business deals, forged contracts, and the wrongful imprisonment of my father, Samuel Grant." Murmurs spread through the room. Ryan continued. "Today, Mr. Cole has agreed to step down as CEO of Coal Empire, effective immediately." Gasps echoed. Charles looked like a shadow of his former self. He said nothing, just signed the papers and stood up. Reporters swarmed the room. Cameras rolled. But Ryan didn't celebrate. He walked over to Charles and extended a hand. "I'm not you," he said softly. Charles looked at the hand and turned away. As Charles exited, humiliated and broken, a familiar voice broke through the crowd. "Mr. Grant." Everyone turned. It was Mirabelle, her face pale, her expression desperate. She rushed toward Ryan, holding her phone. "Please, don't expose me. I'll delete the video. I swear, I was just—" But two police officers stepped forward. "You're under arrest for blackmail, fraud, and invasion of privacy." Mirabelle screamed as they cuffed her. "I was only doing what Charles asked. He paid me." The cameras caught every word. Ryan watched quietly. Isabella, who had just walked in, took his hand. "It's over," she whispered. That evening, Ryan walked toward the giant golden gate of the Cole mansion, now his home. Isabella stood on the other side, wearing a flowing white dress. Her eyes sparkled. He opened the gate slowly, not as a servant, but as the new CEO of Coal Empire. Isabella smiled, the same way she had the first day they met. "Mr. Gatekeeper," she teased. He laughed. "Ms. Trouble." She stepped into his arms. "So what now?" He looked into her eyes. "Now, we write a new story." Without hesitation, they kissed, deeply, gently, in front of the same gate where it all began. But this time, the kiss wasn't secret. It was a declaration. Reporters hiding outside clicked photos. Headlines that evening read, From gatekeeper to CEO, the man who took down a billionaire and won her heart. As the sun set, Ryan and Isabella stood in each other's arms, no longer divided by class, or secrets, or revenge, just two people who had fought through the storm and found forever